What is up, everyone? It's me again, Gamerlush, from another episode of Final Fantasy Impressions. Possible future jobs. Now, guys, if you're like me, there is a job that's not fulfilling the enjoyment that you might be experiencing this game. But I also want to go over other jobs that you guys were probably looking for after playing through other games of the Final Fantasy universe that you haven't seen yet. They got a good amount, of course. Yoshi P is confirmed, like, yes, we're going to get iconic classes from every most of the Final Fantasies you've played for. So, example, Dark Knight, Samurai, Ninja, Red Mage, and other ones like that. I'll be going over the other ones, of course, in more detail and kind of giving my opinions about how could these ones come into the party or serve a party mechanic of the game. But, of course, before I forget, I seem to be doing that a lot for some reason. Maybe because the drinking is maybe affecting my memory. Oh my goodness. Anyway, guys, you know what time it is. Raise your glasses. Join me. Cheers. Alright, so the class system is altered by the weapon that you have in hand. Now, this is not dead set in stone because, in my experience, it is said that staves, staves are majorly used for thaumaturge, to where rods, wands are mainly used for conjure. That is not the case. Conjurers can use staves, staffs, and thaumaturges can use clubs and wands, or rods, or what have you. Now, there's a multitude of weapons made from all across the world that you can use this weapon system to make these jobs and give them a unique flair. One of the major weapons we've seen is Greatsword. So you've seen, like, oh, okay, I get into other things like, I want to play warrior, but I'm not a big fan of great axes or what have you. I know, yeah, understandable, but I can see to where they would reserve it for a Dark Knight or a fighter class that can be switched or mixed matched between the warrior class. So maybe the warrior class can get a great axe, but can also wield a great sword. I can see the potential in the Greatsword class to where Dark Knights can wield it, but I can also see Dark Knights wielding sais, because there are some really cool sais in Final Fantasy XI that they did wield, and they look pretty damn awesome. And it seemed to fit them more than Great Swords. For me, that's my opinion. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys are like, oh no, we want Death Knights with Great Swords and stuff. It just seems kind of like Dark Knights being that Reaper of Death, having that scythe, and you can get some really cool looking scythes and stuff, and what have you. But then there's also different things. Like, there's the four major ones that have always been brought up in a lot of forms. There's the Dark Knights, Ninjas, Samurais, and Thieves. Thieves being most of our, seeing how that's mostly the most basic class that's been in most everyone's. The Dane from Final Fantasy IX being a thief class, Locke from Final Fantasy XI. Final Fantasy VI, my most favorite Final Fantasy, and the fact that it's like, wow, you don't have an agile, dual-wielding blade character, but they do subsidize you with a dual-wielding fist character. Is very constantly attacks me, but you're sitting here constantly, what can the Thief do? We've all seen what the Thief can in Final Fantasy XI if you have played it. Thief is a really cool damage-dealing utility class in Final Fantasy XI. Not also does it deal awesome damage, but it also helps the tank generate threat immunity by doing trick attacks, by jumping behind the tank. The tank is facing the monster, the thief runs behind the monster, and like it said, trick attack, it tricks the monster thinking that the tank has done this damage to you. It's like, holy crap, when did all of a sudden the tank do all this damage? Maybe I should take him down. And then the thief can run back and do a little juke or whatever and run back to the back of the character. I thought that was awesome. And they did that for misdirect for hunters on WoW and what have you, and other things like that. It's another thing. Plus, these can steal, get away mechanics, and then maybe, I don't know, they've been using unorthodox names that not people are really familiar with. Maybe they can call it the Scoundrel, and then the Scoundrel can break off into a thief, or the Scoundrel can either break off into a ninja. Ninja, awesome. Iconic class in Final Fantasy XI, being an evasion tank, using scrolls and new jutsus to make it like giving multiple image, mirage, and image, basically tricking the monster, thinking that, oh, there's 3 images of me. And the monster's gonna hit the first image, then it's gonna hit the second image, and then finally it'll get to you. But your cooldowns are gonna be up in about 5 seconds, so you take a couple hits, you know, not too bad. And then you throw it back up, and it's like, oh, tricked you. There's 3 more of me. What you gonna do? You know, so. Excuse me, guys. So it kind of had a frustration mechanic, basically pissing off the monsters. Like, I'm fucking hitting all these things, but I can't get you. I'm gonna get you eventually. That was a really cool mechanic that they have with the ninja. Now, the samurai, that is a whole different weapon. It's placed complete itself. A great sword is way different from a katana. So you have the great sword more like emulating a claymore, or Scottish claymore, to where you have katanas, basically dual-bladed weapons, and they can be shortened. And then you can do interesting things with those samurai. Do you want it to be a tank? Do you want it to be just a fast damage dealer with quick draws, or use the old classic throw mechanic where it throws gil, and depending how much gil you have, it does a little multiplier, and so the more gil you have, it does more damage. So people who just have tons and tons and shitloads of gold that they really have nothing to do with, and just buy items that just basically increase their attack damage, I can see where the imbalance could be in that. but you know, it's like, yeah, maybe it's like a damage mitigate where they can do like those cool like anime moves where they catch blade, that do the catch blade or whatever. You know, it's like, could it be a tank, a support, or whatever? Wear those cool little samurai banners in their back that, you know, emit a buff to everybody. You know, like, the possibilities are endless. But, you know, I can see a samurai being more of a tank class, seeing how it could wear heavier armor, or not, you know, ornate, cool looking armor. Samurais look badass in Final Fantasy XI. I really like how they looked, and the fact that they can just TP was their specialty. Basically, they can have abilities where they can stack TP and actually weapon skill off of themselves. And that was a really cool, interesting mechanic that they had. Okay, we have, you know, there's another thing. They have archers, but they left out rangers and hunters. And now, guys, I looked here. Hopefully, I put my picture of here. There, if you go to the Alchemist in Limsa Lominsa, that right next to it is a sign with 2 guns crossed to each other. Now, they were talking about in the original launch of Final Fantasy XIV version 1.1, talking about bringing a class called a Musketeer. Now, that's not been a really class that's been synonymous with Final Fantasies in the past, so they could even make classes that we never heard of in the Final Fantasy universe. Now, we all know that if you guys play Final Fantasy XI, Rangers could wield guns. There's no guns in the game yet. There's another weapon you could use, they could put in the game and make the Musketeer, and maybe that'll make a Ranger. So instead of having you playing a Bard who can buff the class, you just have a range class that does do straight crazy sniping DPS. That'd be cool. Guys, cheers. Now, guys, I know this is like not even like putting any info into the game further on. This is just basically speculations and kind of something I wanted to talk to you guys about because I wanted your guys' input. And I just really, another fact, I love the fact that they put Scholar, which came from I believe was it Tactics or what? I think that was straight from Final Fantasy XI, but it was kind of a derivative from Calculator in Final Fantasy Tactics, which is one of my all-favorite Final Fantasies of all time, or actually probably my top 10 of games ever played, because if you guys ever played Shining Force off of the Sega Genesis, it reminded me so much of that. And Calculators was a unique, different kind of class. Basically, it would just do these crazy effects where it could either multiply your stats, multiply your damage, demultiply your damage. It was like a random kind of crazy effect, kind of like Corsair for 11. It's kind of this crazy roll the dice. You can either buff your damage, debilitate your damage, and you're like, why would they even put that in the game? Like, why would you, like, it's just chance. It's a really cool, different mechanic coming from a different game. Do you want to take that chance to make those really super uber DPS, or those really crazy invincible heals, or basically not get hit at all? Or do you want to take the chance to where, oh man, you're getting hit for double the amount, your DPS is not doing this amount for this amount of allotted amount of time? It brings an interesting mechanic to the game. But of course, min-maxers, professional people who are going would probably never take that chance because, like, oh no, it's too unpredictable. We don't want this crazy mechanic in the game because we can't rely on and stuff like that. Me personally, I would love to have that because it brings an interesting to the game because it kind of gives you that that little gambling chance that you want to put in the game. It's like, oh, go for it. It's like, here, we can do it. It's like, if not, we'll just die and wipe and fuck it. We'll just try it again. Why not? And it's like, it's kind of crazy. And it's like, hey, maybe they'll put Corsair back in this one too. There's another one actually hasn't been a lot in the other Final Fantasies as well. Oh, the phone's really loud. Alright, yes, that was a transition for Transformers. Alright, Dancer. Dancer, we can put the Dancer. I love the Dancer class. It's basically effective the party. It's like I said, why do we need tank DPS healer? Can you throw a buffer in there? Can you put a chance character in there? Can you put a debilitator or a buffer in the class? That will go into Red Mage later, but we'll talk about that anyway later on. I'd love to see a Dancer class, you know, it's just doing the crazy dances and buffing. Like, that'd be some cool animation just to check out the dancers. Like, you're sitting there swinging your sword and all of a sudden you see this dude just sitting there going crazy. It's like, and like, I don't know, doing no, we don't want to see him do that. But anyway, or you know, I'd be kind of some cool animations the programmers could work on to have, like, because they have dance animations in it, and so maybe like the Dancer would have those default dance animations to maybe like do normal attacks for it or what have you. Heck, what was a good one? Guys who played Final Fantasy VI Go-Go. He was a mime. I believe they had mimes in Final Fantasy IV. Basically, what it would copy the last action the last person would do. So this basically would be a high skill character. You would have to watch the battle log and see what was the really cool thing the last person did to help. If it happened again, it would really turn the tides of battle. So let's say it could mime. These are, you know, these are just ideas, guys. It's not gonna happen. Maybe happen in the game. It's not. Let's say that you just really did a bad pull, and the Black Mage is like, okay, sorry guys, I'm gonna bust the limit break. Go for it, bro. We got a mime. So he busts the limit break, hits this crazy ass limit, and does this crazy AOD damage. The mime sees it, does the same exact thing for it. Bam! You have two crazy ass AOE spells from your limit break. Or the Conjurer's Cure, the White Mage cure, AOE cure was not enough to heal the whole damage group together, and just for that one heal. Mime sees it, bam, hits it again. You got two crazy burst AOE heals to do with the party, that he backs everybody up. So I can see where it probably may be for tank, because the Mime necessarily probably wouldn't want to copy the tank's provoke skill. But yeah, I can see, but it would just go into the dodge mechanics, saying, hey, oh, okay, probably wouldn't want to do that. Okay, let's have the mimic or mime give him, like, you know, chainmail or leather armor. The tank hits provoke, but doesn't automatically get all the hate. Okay, fine, let's go ahead. I'll hit provoke and get it off of our healer. There's another thing, you guys. You know, like, it makes you think to where it's like, no, this is your class. You need to just do this rotation. You don't need a thing. It's just very simple. Let's throw some classes that require some crazy thinking, or, like, you know, out of the box thinking, what have you. Berserker. A lot of Berserker seals seem to have gone to the warrior class. Yeah, so I couldn't really see, because, yeah, going Berserk and just not having control of your character probably wouldn't be too funny. Funny. It'd be funny as shit, but no, it probably wouldn't be too fun. Unless it, like, if you go into Berserker stance, you still have a character, but you just get crazy amounts of DPS, and you're like, okay, I'm about to lose control. Boop! Get back, watch this DPS roll, let's watch those numbers roll. Okay, I'm like really getting damaged like crazy, so you don't want to keep me up, so I'm being like pseudo tank but crazy DPS at this moment. Hey, that's another mechanic you might throw in the game, you know. This is all pretty much pipe dreams, and like, oh, these are probably too radical for probably a company to put in, but it could be possible, you know. It's really nice to just, you know, just think and dream of like the crazy characters, and making this RPG make leaps and bounds and differences to where it might attract more people to, like, wow, this is really cool. Like, oh wow, you kind of have a trinity here, but then you have that odd little shape that comes off, so it's kind of like a square. Your tank, your healer, your DPS, and your oddball. your buffer, your debuffer, the wild card that will totally buff the class, and the crazy character will do pseudo tanking for a while. And just, you know, it's really nice to just have those different variations, like buffing. For example, Time Mage. Time Mage is also an iconic class, and it's basically all about debilitating and speeding up the party. Haste, slow, stop. Why can't we do that? Blue Mage. I know you guys, I've heard some comments about Blue Mages. I know you love to learn like the crazy cool spells that like monsters would throw in there, and it's like some of them like, oh man, that monster got this one hit kill that kills everybody. Grant, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't make it accessible to the Blue Mage, but having some of those really cool monster skills, having that, like the fact that you can just do that all together. It's like, yeah, they have Blue Mage in Final Fantasy, and they were the crazy ass tanks or crazy ass healers or crazy DPS. They're like if you know how to do them, they could be masters of any trade. You know, so chemist. Well, you do have alchemy, but that would be kind of cool if a job could work a discipline of the hand or land into their discipline of war or magi rotation. That'd be kind of awesome. So let's say you became an alchemist and you made awesome potions, and you rolled a chemist class. I'm thinking it'd probably be their discipline of magi, maybe. Heck, that'd probably have to be a discipline all in itself. So that effect that I have all these potions, let me be a healer, because my potion, this effect for mix or drink or medicine, once I pop the medicine skill, this potion will basically, I throw it up in the air and bust it in the air, and it basically splashes on everybody, making my potions heal and lowering the cooldowns of my items. That's another cool thing they could do. You know, Geomancer, they just introduced that to the recent expansion for that. How cool would that be if, like, okay, this area is snowy, so I can basically use a lot of these snow skills or water skills. This area has a lot of volcanoes. Maybe I get some fire skills thrown in there. It'd be kind of like Mog off of. I know, guys, I keep referencing going back to Final Fantasy VI, but it just kind of reminds me because, you know, Mog from Final Fantasy had a lot of Geomancer skills. Depending on which plane or level you're attacking, he would have different skills. It would limit your gameplay, but you know, if you could be creative with it, it could be some crazy things like, okay, let me plan ahead. You have to do some planning, you know, hard. It would be a great payoff, but hard to learn, but great payoff in later on. You know, it's like, I keep saying all these things, and I'm pretty sure none of this will probably come to fruition, but it's just, you know, it's always nice to think and dream. And I don't know, guys, what do you think? Do you think I'm going crazy, or, you know, it's like, oh no, they'll never put this in. Now, let's go ahead and put I know, guys, if you guys watch my videos, I constantly keep saying this. Red Mage. What could they possibly do with Red Mage to make it interesting and not just a cookie cutter thing to where it just had conjure skills and white mage skills and black mage skills? If you guys played Red Mage in the previous Final Fantasy, it's known for basically being the jack of all trades, master of none. But I'm pretty sure they could put an interesting thing to where, if you guys remember Sorcerer from Final Fantasy 4 or 5, it had a crazy thing to where you can enchant every weapon. In Final Fantasy 11, in water, in thunder, in fire, in earth, it enchanted weapons and put the elemental attack damage on that weapon, like for a duration. They could put, Red Mages could do that for the whole party. They could have put a buff in the whole party. Red Mages in Final Fantasy 11 were the best defeasing, which is basically hindering, poison, bio, blind, slow. They could do that for them and still do some decent damage on close, because they usually had a sword and a shield combo, but they're basically a battle mage. They could come in, do decent, alright damage with the sword. I remember sometimes when I was playing my Red Mage, I was usually picked as the healer. But, you know, back then, it's like, could I do some DPS? Part was like, yeah, sure, just, you know, keep us healed, keep us buffed, and just do what you need to do, and then go in and do what your other skills can do. You know, I can throw a couple of sword whacks in there, throw a fire, Blizzagra, or whatever, and then just put that in there, and then just watch the stats. So it's basically a thing where you have to stay on the ball, making sure you're watching your party, watching the enemy, make sure that there's poison, bio, blind, slow on the enemies while you're sitting there whacking at the same time. So you're waiting for your spell to go off, and when you're waiting for the cooldown, you can get a couple of sword thrusts in there, and you can throw in a fireball at the time. Oh, the healer's falling a little behind. Let me go ahead and heal the guy. So, of course, my heals wouldn't heal as hard as heal as much as the white mage, but you know, it's still a good asset. And sometimes it was even necessary later on for there being a red mage in it because of refresh until you got bards, which, you know, they have the, well, they already have bards in this one, and now white mages have refresh skill in the game. Now, okay, with that said, let me back up a little before I do that. Let me go ahead and take a shot. Cheers, guys. Am I thinking too single-mindedly? Okay, recently, you know, a lot of MMOs are basically trying to homogenize a lot of classes because they want to go the philosophy, bring the player, not the class. Is it too bad? Is it worse that classes are too different from each other because parties or guilds or raids will want to bring that class over you? My friend will probably scream this to the top of heavens. No, let's not make classes too different from each other or have them two different skills, because they'll always pick this class over me, even though yeah, he'll have harder times leveling up, but then later on, let me just go ahead and say this. My friend played a monk in Final Fantasy XI. He had the hardest time leveling from a certain class. I think it was from 30 to 50 at this point, because they always wanted a Dark Knight for the stun ability to stun goblins before they threw a goblin bomb. And so he'd always be picked over Death Knights for, you know, being a monk. But eventually, once he leveled, he was picked over Death Knights because they would go into a dungeon that had a lot of undead. Undead had a vulnerability to blunt damage, or to slicing damage or piercing damage. So Rangers and monks were always picked over Rangers and Death Knights. So does that mean, like, oh great, we gotta look for certain classes? Is that a hindrance? So should we not have classes be different? Should we just homogenize them into one and just give them different aesthetic looks? Should we just make them look different but just have them all the same? Basically all of them have the same skills, basically all do the same buffs, all the same damage, all the same ability to tank, so we can just bring them, so you can just bring the player, not the class. Basically, no, we should have everybody be able to tank, but they should just have different names slapped on them. Should we, no, the mechanic is too hard. This class is too hard to play. So if you don't know how to, like, what are you? I'm a calculus. How good are you at the calculus? I'm alright. We don't want you. We want a calculus that knows how to play. Okay, fine. I'll just party with the people that accept me for calculus and that are not elitist assholes and just want me to play with them. Okay, I just went off. Because I'm more on the side for having classes be different, be unique. Make me a reason why I want to play this class besides this class. Wait, why should... Okay, well, time mages are just basically healers, but they have this one skill that can basically do the same thing as light mage can. But since you're basically a good healer, you should be able to play that class regardless of how it is. Or, okay, I'm a time mage, I have these different skills, and I have this. Oh, you have these really cool buffs that we wanted to bring, so we don't want to bring this Geomancer, who has different skills, because he doesn't have the skills catering to what we need for this raid. Yes, like I was saying, having variety and being homogenized is kind of like a two-edged sword. I understand that. It's like, but I play that class because, one, yeah, aesthetically it's different, but plus it has different mechanics for me to play as. It's like, because if you do it so much, it's basically, what is the point of playing different classes? I don't know, guys. Well, guys, like I said, there's a comment thing below. Tell me your opinion. I'll get to them, and I'll want to respond to you as soon as I can. And I appreciate your guys' time. If you appreciate listening to me ranting on about these crazy classes that'll probably never come to fruition, or whatever, drinking or whatever, and it's like, please like, subscribe, tell your friends about it, and leave a comment, and as always, cheers, and game on. What's it going to be like? It's pretty much baseline. It's going to be a debuffing, debuffing pet class. So I guess I know I keep referencing it, but because it's pretty much the most well-known MMO on the Earth right now, it's basically going to be kind of like a warlock. But the aesthetics are different. Instead of having like summoning demons, you're summoning gods of the different elemental planes, or fire, wind, water, what have you.